An Orange Floats by Sue Lee. Illustrated by Doreen Gay Cassell. Do you ever wonder why some things float and some things sink? When you wonder, you are beginning to think like a scientist. Scientists do a lot of wondering. Think of what you know about floating. Does money float? A dollar bill floats, but a penny sinks. Clothes may float for a while, but once they are wet, they sink. In science, thinking of a question is called defining a problem. What I know about floating. Birds float on lakes and oceans. Big boats float on lakes and oceans. Pennies sink. Clothes soak up water, then sink. What I want to know about floating. Is it easier to float in salt water or fresh water? Scientists are taught to think about what they know. Then they think about what they want to know. They spend hours thinking up questions. Here is a question you can test at home. If something floats in salt water, will it also float in fresh water? A scientist will try to guess the answer to a question. Then, the scientist does a test. You know that boats float on the ocean. Birds also float on the ocean. The ocean is made up of salt water. In science, trying to guess the answer is called giving a hypothesis. Boats and birds also float on lakes. Lakes are made up of fresh water. You might guess that floating is the same on fresh water as it is on salt water. Next, test your guess about salt water and fresh water. You will need your biggest soup pot, 1 orange, 1 cup of salt, and 10 cups of water. This test has 2 parts. First, you will test fresh water. Then, you will test salt water. The only thing that will change in your test is salt. The pot, the water, and the orange will stay the same. Put 10 cups of water in your pot. Take the peel off the orange. Drop the orange in the pot. Write down what happens. The orange sinks. In science, taking notes is called collecting data. Take the orange out of the pot. Now, stir 1 cup of salt into the same water. Drop the same orange into the pot. Write down what happens. The orange floats. Fresh water. The orange sinks. Salt water. The orange floats. Take the orange out of the pot. Now, stir 1 cup of salt into the same water. Drop the same orange into the pot. Write down what happens. The orange floats. Fresh water. The orange sinks. Salt water. The orange floats. In science, sharing what you learn is called telling your conclusion. We made a guess about floating. We tested our guess. Our guess was wrong. But that is okay. We learned that some things may sink in fresh water, but float in salt water. Share what you learned with a friend or neighbor. Think and share. 1. Reread pages 10 and 11. What was added to the water? What effect did this have? 2. Look at page 5. What information in the text helps you know what questions the caption is talking about? 3. Why do you think asking questions is an important part of science? 4. Create your own chart of the steps scientists use to find out about things. You can use a format like the one below.